What's up? What's up, everybody? Chris with a K here. Chris Griffin, Horns Down Podcast. You got Chris Mason, Mr. Students 360 himself. Folks, I know we started a little bit earlier than per usual. Usually we start this at 8, but we are here 4 minutes early. So you gotta love it, gotta love it. Chris Mason, how you doing?
I am doing fine. It was a good recruiting weekend for OU.
Yeah. And just talking behind the scenes or whatnot, people, I get it. I had to unplug a little bit myself. I get it. I truly get it. But I will say there's a path for us to get there where we really want to be at. So, obviously it's one of those things where you kind of need some help. But the whole thing is that people, please don't be blind. Please don't act like you got amnesia now. Uh, put some faith in your team. Go from there. Took some lumps. We'll take this right here. We're 6-2 right now. We are. I think we're ahead of where a lot of you probably thought we would be at. But at the end of the day, the whole thing I got to say is this right here. We got 4 games. We got 4 good games to go out there and prove that Team 131 can get over that hump and get us back to where we feel like we belong. But with that being said, people, we're here for a good time, not a long time. We're here to talk some recruiting, guys. We're here to talk some ball and go from there. We'll talk about the Tennessee game maybe sparingly a little bit, maybe get some early thoughts, but even at that, we probably just save that for Thursday. So definitely excited about this weekend. Another opportunity to go out there, not only bounce back, not only respond, but just play some good football. Right? A lot of good. There were a bunch of good things that came out of that Ole Miss game, but again, we're here for recruiting. So Chris Mason, obviously we got to start with the recruit that we got today. I know a lot of people have been all in the comments all over the place just saying, man, we need more playmakers. We need more of this right here. Seems like we may have gotten one. And, just lucky enough to say we're fortunate enough to be vultures right now and kind of pick off of everybody's recruiting class. I mean, it's some guys that we definitely need to circle and turn back to, I believe, at elsewhere because of some of the new openings. But let's start with Jasir Rogers. What are your thoughts about him?
Well, I mean, he's you look at some of his junior year tape and some of his senior year tape, and the thing that strikes me is he's seriously explosive. So, which is which is a great place to start. But he's also doing a fantastic job at making contested catches and difficult catches. He has good hands. He's a real wide receiver, but he has speed and speed. So he's a nice combo of those two assets that OU really needs. We need folks who could take defenses over the top. When we need guys that you hit with a screen pass and just outrun a defense for 40, 50 yards for a touchdown. And these are the sort of things that Rogers can give you. He's a good punt returner as well. And, this is kind of funny, Chris, because OU sort of offered him maybe 10 days, 2 weeks ago, and they closed on him from basically 2 weeks. He's with Penn State's recruiting class, maybe 3 weeks, and then OU offers him, gets him on campus, and closes him.
Mm-hmm.
So, to the best of my knowledge, he's not taking the Bama visit, and he's not going to take the Nebraska visit. But Bama really wanted this guy, and I think it's I we may have some things we say about DeBoer and Grubbs, but they know passing game and they know wide receivers. So if to pull him from those guys and to close on him this weekend was a great recruiting job done by OU's coaching staff and the 2026 verbals that were on campus around him as well. So Presuming he doesn't take any more visits and he's going to close down his recruiting. Still going to wait for like official word on that. But this is a big pickup. He fits a speed need in this wide receiver class, and he's a big time playmaker. I know he's from Delaware, but he's posted a 4.3 laser time at Penn State's camp. If you know anything about Penn State's strength and conditioning program and their speed, they know speed. I mean, their guys at the NFL Combine show out speed wise. So if Penn State's saying he's a 4.3 guy, I tend to really believe that. So I think this is a big addition. He's a top 200 guy, top 300 guy. Probably might get ranked a little higher by the time everything puts out because he's having a great senior year. I mean, he's just making some big plays after big plays. And he's definitely a big addition. His addition has put OU up to the number 18 class on 247. OU now has 11 4-star kids, 11 3-star kids, and I still think 247's underranking 4 or 5 of our kids. On 3, let me just double check. I'm pretty sure we're still in the top 20 there. We might be.
Probably in 35, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're on 3 rankings, or they also are a little biased. We're 18 there too. So overall, that's their composite rankings, because ESPN still hasn't reevaluated a bunch of our guys. So our recruiting class is higher ranked than Ole Miss's. So, and we still got some guys in the hopper that could possibly end up as Sooners for 2026.
Yeah.
Some players.
Well,
That we're still looking at. We have 22 verbals. I could see OU adding 4 more guys if the right guys are available.
Let's circle back to just 2 things. So one, I just want to piggyback off the comment you made about DeBoer and
Grubb.
who was it? Grubb? Yeah, Grubb. Because I was just about to ask you, like, obviously you had mentioned that earlier today when you said, hey, this is a kid we beat Bama out for. So obviously back in the day, you beat Bama out for a kid, especially like a wide receiver. That kid must be special, right? So I was just wondering, does that still hold up for even this era of Alabama football? You would probably say yes, because DeBoer and Grubb, they obviously put guys in the NFL and just they know what they want, and those guys. And I think you also, that's as a decent segue to what Sean Riddle, is it Riddell or Riddle? Either way, Sean, he says, I need high IQ players. We can work on size more than ready to go, but need to work on the IQ. I mean, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if DeBoer and all of them want you, they probably think that you have a pretty decent IQ, or at least football IQ, right? Because they like to run kind of those option routes. They let you kind of decide where you're going. You have to be on the same page with your quarterback. It's more reaction. You react. It's all reaction basically. React to what's happening in front of you, and go make the play for your quarterback when he put it in a position where you're going to be. So I think that's kind of where they're at. So obviously you got to have high IQ, football IQ guys out there for that. But excited to have him into the class. It's another big addition to that class, and it could be even better. Chris Mason, who else are we talking about?
Well, so that was the new commit. That was the expected official visitor. Then we had a surprise unofficial visitor. If you follow me on Patreon and you follow my podcast, you're up to date on most of this. But some stuff happened on Friday that I didn't get into my podcast that I recorded Wednesday night. And the big story was that Jaden Petit, the 6'4", 210-pound wide receiver from Florida, showed up for the game. He was in Norman for the weekend, and OU's made a big push. And Chris, he had to pay his own way to come to Norman in October. So I think if we let this simmer and boil for a little bit, we're going to get a decommit from the Badgers. And I think Petit's going to join the OU class.
Yeah.
And that would give you the speed guy, and then the big physical guy who gets separation, guy who basically is not covered when he is covered, with a lot of capability. Petit's having a great senior year, something like 800 yards in 5 games. And he's a big physical guy, and he makes plays. He's again got a great catch radius. So if you think about those two guys, it's a nice compliment, right? And it complements the other guys that we've added in the class. So that would give us 5 receivers. I think that would probably make OU done at wide receiver. Do they roll back to Davian Gross just because he's so talented? I don't know, maybe. But it would probably end the pursuit of Mile Paris because if you get Petit, I don't think you got room for Paris as well, not after picking up the speedster and Rogers. So he was on campus. Interviews he's given indicate he had a great time. And as we all know, I mean, you think we're struggling. Try being a Wisconsin Badger fan. I mean, I haven't scored a touch. I think did they score a touchdown against Oregon this week? Because that would be like I hadn't scored a touchdown for 3 weeks.
Let me see, Wisconsin.
I think, but if they did, I mean, they defensively did a job on Oregon, but
yeah, they scored They scored 7. It was 20. I think it ended up being 7-20. Yeah, 7-21.
All right, they scored. They did score a touchdown, but again, Wisconsin circling the drain. I don't really understand how, at a minimum, Fickle's going to have to like dump his entire offensive staff. I mean, all of it, and they're losing games left and right. There's less of the quit in them. They're at least playing it, with a little more energy and playing a little better on defense. But they're just a terrible team. So I think you've got to make a move and flip Jaden Pettit if that's who you really want.
All right, Chris Mason, we gotta put a comment up here. Jimmy Satterfield is our guy.
He is.
He's our guy. He says, "I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but 18 is not going to get you there."
Well, Ole Miss is at 18, so an Ole Miss is potentially going to be in Atlanta playing for an SEC championship, and people are sharpieing them in to college football playoff brackets. So being number 5 isn't getting LSU anywhere. Yeah. So it's all about what you do. It's all about what you do with the guys you have. I think there are a number of players that are under-evaluated right now that OU has done a good job that are just, there are players that are just don't have good rank. Like, I think Tyron Richardson, Jacob Curry, Matthew Nelson, Dan Norman, Noah Best, Brian Harris, Carrington, Derek Johnson, Ryder Mix. I think there's a lot of guys that are just way underranked in the OU class. A lot of good evaluations, a lot of good guys with NFL measurables that OU just needs to develop. And some of those guys are on the defensive side of the ball. And I think we can all say that right now, defensive side of the ball, there is development and progress happening. So I think with the defensive ends and the D-line, the defensive tackles you're getting in this class, you're going to see them far outplay their recruiting rankings. Probably the same things for the linebackers, probably and everywhere else. I think the 2 offensive linemen are really good. So I think the class is underranked overall. But if you want to say that you would prefer OU to have a top 10 class versus a top 20 class, I'm not going to disagree with you there. But this is the class that OU. This is the first class where you have Nagy's influence, and OU's coming off a terrible season where we lost a lot of recruiting momentum in the offseason and lost a lot of the top kids in the spring before we could get back on the field. Ever since we got back on the field, recruiting's been going really well.
Yep. You said that. You said that plenty of times this offseason. Topher B says 18 won't get you there, but OU still working on more flips.
Yeah.
I would just say that, hey, look, I think you trust this. I think you trust this staff. I trust the staff once. I trust the staff 2 times. I trust the staff 3 times. And then plus Nagy and all of them are behind this as well. I think they went out there and got high caliber players. I think at the end of the day, got to go prove it on the field. I think offensively, yes, there's some things you need to do, but people believe the transfer portal is still a real thing. Chris Mason, just moving on. I know you had a non-visitor on this list of things that you wanted to talk about with go ahead. I'll let you,
Yeah, so the surprise non-visitor, which I didn't get to put in my podcast, Daniel McMorris canceled his OU visit. It looks like he's going to Cal. Cal has pitched him on early playing time, while OU has been consistently crafting a message about needing some time to develop, both from a size perspective and a technique perspective. And McMorris is buying the Cal pitch, and OU's like, well, we're not changing our approach to you. So, based upon that disagreement about where things are going, OU has just moved on and didn't bring him in. No point bringing in somebody who you know you're not going to sign for a weekend. Don't waste an official visit, and don't have that bad karma around the kids that you do want.
Simple as that, huh?
Yeah, I mean he's a talented athlete. He's very raw as an offensive lineman, and he needs to put on 30 to 35 pounds. So he needs to come and roll early, redshirt, and hope he doesn't have any injuries or anything along those paths that disrupt his progress. Then he probably needs another year to really develop how to be an offensive lineman. So I think OU was fine with that approach because they have other young offensive tackles in their system and guys they're bringing in. But I think McMorris wants to play earlier. So okay, well if Cal thinks you can play earlier, good luck to him.
Let's see. So OU is at crossroads the next 4 weeks. So at a crossroads, the next 4 weeks are critical. I think the recruiting has to be competitive. That's a given. But the way they finish is what counts in the immediate future. No, definitely agree with that. I think that's a great comment. I think, hey, look, people, the next 4 weeks. I was just telling Chris Mason this. Very winnable. It's extremely. It's the schedule is it's winnable, and there's some things that have been set up to where, hey, if you could take business you take care of business over the next 3 weeks with Tennessee to buy, and then also Bama. I know that's a lot to ask people. I'm not getting my hopes up all the way, but I'm just saying if you do that, then you come home against really an ego, probably hurt Mizzou team because of what happened with Bro Probilla. Hopefully he comes back as healthy as possible to start the season. And then also, I mean, with LSU, with that whole thing going down there. So you got some teams with a little bit of hurt prize, hurt those probably coming into Norman those last two games. So the question is, can you do what you need to do on the road these next two games, right? So got to put the Ole Miss game in the background in the rearview mirror, and you gotta be focused because a 10-2 OU team. Let's just be honest with you. A 10-2 OU team is more than likely going to give them a chance to be in the CFP. A 9-3 team, probably not, but you have a conversation. 8-4. Just don't want to even talk about that. Just want to just stay on the road and just say we still have what we need inside that locker room to go win. Just got to go prove it. But again, we're here talking about recruiting. So with that being said, let's go ahead. I know we want to talk about the new offer, but let's go ahead and get to something that's in the comments right now, kind of heavy. What the hell is going on with Peyton Houston? I think that's the question a lot of people want to know.
Well, what does he do? What does OU do? OU has Dane Weber coming in on November 22nd for the Mizzou game. I would suspect, based upon the footage I'm watching and the film he's putting out there, OU needs to make an offer that weekend, perhaps to try and get in the race before Oregon makes an offer. So I would say Houston's got 3 weeks before that visit occurs to decide, does he want to stick with LSU or does he want to re-engage with OU and go in the direction? Now, Joe Sloan, who he was dealing with as his OC QB coach, got fired today. So there's less people and there's less offensive people at LSU than there were before. Houston is obviously a Louisiana kid. Staying in state, I think, was part of the reason why he pulled that late reversal and chose LSU instead. The campus isn't changing location. It's still the flagship. It's still every Louisiana kid wants to go to LSU. That's still not changing. So I think if we hear something, it's going to be something in the next couple of weeks. And then other than that, it's OU's probably going to be OU's probably going to just say, look, we need to start offering quarterbacks. So, and the moment we offer another quarterback, they could jump on that offer and we could be done. So, let us know where you are. Let us know what you're doing. To be fair, Colin Kennedy over at 247, I is the only guy I've seen really, really talk about this, and he thinks something. He seems to think that OU will make a push, and maybe there's a chance they could flip Houston. I'm not seeing that elsewhere. Houston's obviously all the LSU recruits the first day. I mean, the first day everyone always says, "I'm staying with LSU. I'm staying with Penn State. I'm staying with Florida." And then as the weeks go by, and there's no head coach and there's no chaos and there's chaos there, the kids start disappearing. Penn State has lost 13 kids since they fired Franklin. So I think that's something we should be keeping an eye on for both Florida and LSU in terms of their kids. The better question is, if LSU's waiting around for Kiffin and Ole Miss makes a playoff run, the portal opens January regardless of whether you fired your coach or not. So that's a lot of talent on that LSU roster that's underdeveloped and underutilized. Could you see Harold Perkins as a cheetah? I don't know. He's stopped playing basically because he's going to deciding what he's going to do.
Does he have another year left?
He does. I'm pretty sure he does.
Oh wow!
Because he redshirted when he blew his knee out. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So,
Okay.
So you got stuff like that. It's an interesting question. I think if you're OU and you're Arbuckle and you're Coach Coos and you're talking to and Peyton Houston is taking your phone calls and is willing to talk about it. Those are some buttons you should push over the next 3 weeks and see if you can leverage him into maybe you ask, okay, well, come up for the LSU game. You offer Dane Weber, tell Dane, hey, this is a committable offer. Whenever you're ready to strike, go. And you tell Houston that we just offered someone else. We just offered someone else. You're welcome to come up to the LSU game. Welcome to come up. Jimmy Satterfield saying, well, I'd love to get there tight end. Well, when we go to portal season, if I was Jim Nagy, I would poach the crap out of that kid. Yeah, you're right. Travion Green, I think is his name. That's close. It's close. So from there. So, I think that's the question. That's the big question is, does Peyton Houston stick with the school he rapidly flipped to, or does all of this chaos and uncertainty mean maybe I should just go back to the place that I had the better relationship with and had a closer foundation with? So,
for me, I think the question really boils down to not only what you're saying, but just how fast do they get somebody, right? Like who?
Well, it's if they go after Kiffin, which seems to be what they're saying, or they go after Marcus Freeman or one of these other heavy positions they're talking about, coaches who are going to be in the playoff, they're not going to be able to interview them until January.
Yeah.
I mean, more than likely. So that means that puts them after signing day, and it puts them behind the OU revenge tour. I don't know what Durham does that we're getting from Blaylock right now, but whatever. That's just my opinion. So I think that's the question is because it could put a lot of. When does Florida get a guy? You've got potentially 3 programs. Depending, does Auburn pull the trigger on something? You got 3 programs that are all going to be chasing Lane Kiffin. At least that's what everyone says. So if Drink goes to Florida and he won't do that until after the season, so that would be interesting. And signing day is I think it's December 4th. It's so early, so it's Houston's got some decisions to make, and OU's got. But Houston's not signing on the 4th because he's 2027. But the other kids that OU may be pursuing in the 26 class obviously have got some decisions to make, and we'll see where things are going. But Houston obviously there's a window for OU to kind of negotiate with him and see if he's looking to flip. Other than that, I think they should offer Dane Weber or some other quarterback that they really like. Again, Colin Kennedy, who does a great job over at 247, has mentioned another name at quarterback that he thinks OU's pursuing or tracking. That's on their paywall. I'm not going to talk about that name until it gets mentioned in a public arena. But OU needs to get going on the 2027 QB recruiting setup. Dane Weber, who looks great, is going to be on campus the 22nd, and that kind of gives Peyton Houston. That gives them a window right now to talk to Houston and see where he is.
So go ahead and tell me about this new 2027 offer that we put out there.
Yeah, so DeMarco Murray offered Trey Stewart out of Arkansas. He's a 3-star player, but he's posting junior film now. And when you watch his junior film, don't take this all the way, Chris, but there is some Joe Mixon in his game.
Boy. I'm at full chub right now, Chris Mason.
Well, he's
wow.
he's 6'2", 205 as a high school junior. You see him in a photo next to DeMarco. He's bigger than DeMarco.
Really?
Taller than DeMarco, bigger than DeMarco. And we all know how big DeMarco is, right? Yeah. DeMarco is not some 5'10", 200-pound running back, right? DeMarco's 6 foot. I think he's still probably 210, 205, right?
Yeah.
And he's bigger than him. He's physical running through trash, and then he's an accelerating to the end zone. Home run plays. And at receiver, they use him as basically a wide receiver out of the backfield. He's making wide receiver catches downfield that you expect from elite wide receivers. You know how like Joe was probably the best receiving running back OU had, and certainly my memory. And maybe, it's always annoyed me in the pros they didn't use him enough as a wide receiver because his receiving game was just stupid, right? I mean, it was just elite. So this kid's 3-star, but he doesn't look 3-star on film. And I'll be sure I'll send you his film after this, Chris, so you can take a look at it. But his receiving skills are excellent. And he's a big kid. He'll easily be 220 after his first meal in OU's weight room. That's if he's not 220 by the time he graduates high school, because he's only a junior. So it's an interesting. OU's doing a good job recruiting in Arkansas. Arkansas is down, very down, and OU's poaching kids out of Arkansas left and right. So this could be the next one, and he's. I'll send you the film. See what you think. You can send it over to Unc. See what he thinks. But there's a little bit of Joe Mixon in his game.
What's up? What's up with this one right here? I remember my uncle telling me that Jacob Ford was going to be there.
Yes. So he was a 2024 signee. He played last fall for OSU. 15 catches, a touchdown, and like 150 yards receiving. He's from Stillwater. I looked at his high school senior film. Chris, he's 6'5", 265. That tight end.
Wow.
Okay. And he's a pretty good receiver from his senior film in high school. But the kid blocks the shit out of kids. He's vicious in his blocking. Like, he's like taking some kids to the carpet and kind of, with a little bit of there's a little bit of viciousness in it. Like, I'm burying your ass in the carpet, and he's smashing kids around in the blocking part of being a tight end. So OU needs that. OU needs that physicality at tight end to be able to do some of the things they want to do. And I think maybe just to exist in the SEC with the way teams in the SEC play football, you need that one big, hulking big tight end who can abuse. I mean, he smashes folks in the blocking game. So He's redshirting this year, I'm pretty sure. So he would have 3 years left to play.
Hmm.
Based upon everything I've seen, if he wanted to get out of the cesspool that is Stillwater, I'm not a big fan of OSU players possibly infecting OU with Agent Orange in any way, shape, or form. But
We've hit on the last two.
we've
We've
hit on
hit
the
on
last
the
two. We've hit on the last two. So as a counter to my general belief in that. So yeah, I mean, there's on a certain viewpoint, this could make sense. It would allow you to give you some time for your two freshmen to develop, and then you could go out and maybe get this kid as your big blocking tight end, and then depending upon where you've got portal money, go out and get the best freaking tight end you can find in college football.
facts. I think that you'll have a conversation to have with people this time.
Yeah.
Kyle Dupuis, he says, really surprised we got a Penn State wide receiver after the Ole Miss game.
Well,
Thoughts on
let's talk about this and from this perspective. All right, so I know that the OU fans are all pissed off and angry over the Ole Miss game.
that? Yeah.
But if you're a recruit and you're at the OU game and you saw a fourth quarter battle between two top 15 teams, OU did not embarrass themselves from a recruit perspective in that football game at all.
No.
The crowd was great. The atmosphere was great. Ole Miss is a top 10 team. OU took them into the fourth quarter, one possession game. They arguably, we can be pissed off about the last possession, but OU had a chance to tie that game. They had the ball inside Ole Miss territory. If they pick up that fourth down by just hitting Satania to revisit some old wounds, they're in the red zone with a chance to tie that game if they hit a 2-point play. From a recruit perspective, there's nothing wrong. I hate to say it, there's nothing wrong with losing that game. So I know we always view that, oh man, we blew these guys out. Recruits are just going to fall in love with us. Well, that doesn't always happen. And this wasn't an embarrassing game. This wasn't South Carolina. This wasn't Tennessee. We played a really good team. We didn't play our best game, and we lost. Recruits who play good competition and lose high school football games understand that. I mean, Josh from Scoop is always saying this. High school kids lose football games. They understand we didn't play our best today, and we lost. So, OU had a great recruiting weekend. All the feedback is extremely positive, especially the 2027 kids. If you're a defender, you're watching OU out there, or you're watching OU out there. You're impressed. If you're an offensive player, you're seeing a chance to make some opportunities to be a big time contributor. I'm sure Rogers is looking at that game and thinking, well, look at Satania running for a 76-yard touchdown pass. I can do that. Give me the chance. I can make those plays.
I always think of the opposite of where they look at guys like, obviously we still think highly of Burks, but I think they look and say, hey man, if I'm on that field, I can make that play. I could get open. I see what they're trying to do. I see where I fit in that,
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's the whole thing, is that recruiting is such it's such a mixture of so many different things and so many different elements. I'd always, me and my uncle, we would always talk, like when I was, going through trying to get recruited. I wanted to go D1, I wanted to go here and stuff like that, but you have to have some of those.
Can you put up six foot Chevy's comment, please?
Yeah, but like you have to have those conversations as far as like, hey, go here, be a superstar, go here, ride the bench, right? Stuff like that, to where different things, like those recruits are looking at a lot of different elements, that are involved in this whole process.
Numerous recruits said, they were close. It was a great game, great atmosphere, but I loved how the coaches handled the loss and handled the way they handled the kids and the team.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that, we're not seeing, and we don't really understand that perspective. So don't overreact as a fan of the product on the field, but you have to dial back in terms of thinking, well, we're not going to get any of these kids. So from that perspective, OU had a very good. OU flipped the Penn State wide receiver. So Kyle Dupuis 4 weeks ago, you were begging OU to offer this kid, and OU just got him. So, how about being psyched that we just got the kid that you really wanted them to get, and a little less focus on the fact that we got him after the Ole Miss loss? I mean,
I feel it.
someone's doing something right from and the recruiting perspective is recruiting's going up. So,
No, we've been saying it these past couple of recruiting shows. You're kind of hitting it on all three phases. The 26 class, you're finishing up the 26 class, which we said there was still some room to
yeah, and I
potentially
still
grow.
think if they can find the
Yeah,
right guys, they'll sign 4 more guys. I think,
yeah.
and I'm hopefully 2 of those are offensive linemen.
You have 26 class, 27 class we just talked about,
And
and we know that
I'm
there's
gonna
some more.
talk about I'm gonna talk about a couple of 28 kids too in a minute. So,
Go ahead, go ahead.
all right, so Chris, the other visitors for the Ole Miss game, first name Crew Jones from Utah, defensive end, 6'5", 230. Loves OU and maybe making a decision in the next couple of months. I think OU is ahead. He's a top 100 kid, top 35 by ESPN. He's basically he's exactly what you want at defensive end for this defense. His buddy from Utah was also on campus. His name's Bode Sparrow. That's his name. He's a safety, 6'2.5", 190. Top 100 kid, great stats, plays wide receiver, plays safety, would be the perfect Brandon Hall safety, fit that room great. And he's another top 100 kid who's on campus. Third top 100 defender. These are all 2027 kids. Taven Epps, the UT verbal. He's an edge outside linebacker, could be a big cheetah. He's very skilled in coverage and in space, but he's also a terror off the edge, Chris. So I'm not quite sure which way you go with that. But I know OU has I know a defensive coordinator who will use the crap out of those skills, and that would be Brent Venables. He's there's a photo of him next to Brent. This kid's easily 6'4", 220. He may be 6'5". And his film is really good. OU apparently, according to some sources out there, primarily Parker Thune and some other folks, OU may have put a major dent in his UT verbal and maybe in a position to get this kid back on campus and make things real interesting for Texas. For 2028, Micah Rhodes was back on campus. He is probably the top running back in Texas, top 3 nationally for 2028. He's been on campus. He's right on the edge of the 5-star rankings. He's been on campus 15 times in the last 2 years. He's best buddies with Cortland Guillory. If you were him and you were watching Cortland Guillory on Saturday, I think you were thinking OU is a good place to be because Cortland had played great and has played great as a freshman. Rhodes is a top running back. He may be getting ready. He may make an early decision sometime in the January-February timeframe. If he did, I think OU would be the school to think about. Last name, since we've been talking tight ends. This kid hasn't got an offer yet. Not sure what OU's waiting on, but Breck Brady was on campus. That's Ricky Brady's kid. If you don't know who Ricky Brady is, he's the best tight end mired in the Cale Gundy Gibbs mediocrity fest of the early 90s. His kid is a high school sophomore. He is 6'5", 245, maybe 250. And again, he's a tight end. He's really athletic, and he also blocks the crap out of people. The only issue with him at tight end might be that he might outgrow the position and be a defensive tackle because he's also really good at defensive tackle. So that's another kid. OU's already offered Jimmy Satterfield. Ricky Brady was a freaking dude at tight end. He was 6'5", 245. He had a cup of coffee in the NFL, played in the NFL. Wasn't really developed or used correctly in the 90s offenses. If you put him in an offense of today, he'd be killing folks. So OU's already offered Connor Arendt from Bixby, who's 6'6", 230. Also a tight end, also really good. So OU could have back-to-back years in 2027 and 2028 of really good tight end prospects in state. We just need to land some of them, and we need somebody to develop them.
That's all you can ask for.
That's right.
Chris Mason, we've been on here for 40 minutes now. You know, we keep this short, this
We
show
do.
short.
Is
Do
that
do you have anything else that you want to add to this recruiting wise?
no? I don't think so. But obviously, we're. I'll throw something else out for a nugget for you. OU was less worried about losing McMorris because they have 3 to 4 flip target offensive linemen that they're working heavily, that they like more than McMorris.
Interesting. I'll just say it like this right here. You know,
Giving you guys a nugget
I'm,
that
I'm, I'm gonna keep things on the wraps, but you know, there's some stuff that we've talked about that it's got me really excited if we can pull it off. I mean,
that's what I would say. So that that they are actively. We got 2 weekends coming up. They can bring kids in from Missouri. They can bring kids for LSU, and they can bring kids in before signing day.
yeah,
So we'll see what happens, but got to get some wins on the field, keep this momentum going, because the 2027 momentum is great right now.
yeah,
We could get a quarterback ID'd and get kids in. The DeMar DeZern kid they got a commitment from
yeah.
is tearing it up out in Cali. He looks freaking great. I watched Bixby play a football game, and Caden Penny is a beast. He's just a monster out there. The only reason they beat Mustang and beat Jaden O'Neal. Jaden O'Neal nearly beat Bixby the other night. If he looked really good, so I think he's going to have a great career at FSU, depending upon if he still goes there and who's his coach. But had some, the 27 kids, good. Crew Jones again, prediction to OU. Just maybe seeing what's going on there. Still apparently Jackson Roper may lead on him. That's another 2027 kid that would give you 4 offensive linemen. One last comment, Chris, is if Foji can lock down right tackle for the rest of this year, that helps you so much in portal season.
Yeah, it does.
Because if you don't have to go spend a bunch of high-end money on a right tackle, which looked like what OU was going to have to do, instead you go get the best guard you can find. That's a cheaper talent. That's a cheaper money. That's cheaper money. May leave you cash left up to go get a number 1 receiver or a elite tight end, depending upon how things shake out with the end of our season.
All right, people, look. We're on here for a good time, not a long time, but I definitely will say this right here. We still have 4 games left, people, and we still have a season to play. The thing is, you got to let some things play out, some things shake out, and most of all, you got to go and win. Sooners Cowboys, I saw you coming in here about Tennessee doing this and doing that. Tennessee has played a lot of close games. Please don't let the spikes against UT Chattanooga and Kentucky get you all excited. They are very vulnerable as well at home as well. So whole thing is we just gotta go handle business. OU has to stop beating OU. I think if we can get over that hump first, we'll be fine. We saw it at South Carolina. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to go and do the same thing against Tennessee. You just have to respond. But people, look. Excuse me, like, subscribe, do all those different things to both channels, the Horns Down Podcast, and you have Sooners 360. Got a shout out to Jason, Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason the coach, but definitely right here for these 2 channels here. We're bringing this to you every Monday and giving you a lot of information and talking with you guys, answering questions, all the rest of that stuff. Hell, you even got Topher B chiming in with a lot of good nuggets. But Chris Mason comes in here, no fluff, just tells you how it is and does it to not only the best of his ability, but honestly as well. So you definitely can't go wrong with that. $2 subscription is all you have to pay to get his Patreon. So definitely go check him out over there and his YouTube channel. I'm sure that Wednesday he'll follow up with another recruiting video. So definitely go over there and like, subscribe, and watch all of that content there. But as for now, we'll see you guys Thursday and we'll go from there.